Good evening, goons, to another episode of Jack of All Trades. I'm here with Kaylin as always, and our producer Sam. And we're just going to briefly talk about Bitcoin today, and obviously the charts, and my prediction for the markets, and get Kaylin's thoughts on that too. All right, cool.
All right, yeah. Give us your quick 5-minute shakedown on the Bitcoin bear market that we've all been hearing so much about.
I'm ashamed to say I was hoping to get your take because I have not been paying attention. I even said on my Instagram that I lost like $4,000 or $5,000 because I wasn't paying attention. Like Bitcoin didn't hit my my exit target, and I was too lazy to. Well, I wasn't too lazy. I was too busy to check, and then I let it slip, and then it hit like I think it was right there. No, sorry. So my exit was just above here. It was at 53, and it hit like it was a hair before, and I missed it. And at any time during this point, I probably should have adjusted, but I didn't, and it just fucking tanked. Like, what is this? 32%. 32%.
Wow.
So yeah, that fucked that up.
Is that the daily chart you have there?
Yeah, but here, let me clear this up. It's been a long time since I drew on this one, but yeah. So here's the thing. This is what people are scared of, eh? They're saying another Head and Shoulders. So
I'm looking at this like more big picture, man. Like if like, can you go to the daily chart and just zoom like way out so we can see everything you're seeing there?
Oh yeah.
And just zoom in like after just up in the top kind of double top there. Like just from like right there. So like basically like double tops are probably like one of my favorite patterns. And like in this one I'm kind of seeing like for shorting, I mean. And like this one I'm kind of seeing almost like two in the same thing. So like at the far right there, like October and November of 2021, like we had a little double top there, and we had the like the rejected breakout, right? So we had one push up, and like it was around the 20th of October, came down, and then it tried to push up again. It went to new highs, and then it got rejected. Like to me, like for shorting and stuff like that, I love that because that means that it tried to push to new highs and it trapped a bunch of longs because they always bought, everyone buy the breakout, right? Like that's like, the world's oldest, easiest longing technique that works is absolutely 0% of the time. But yeah, that's a really good move because then you get that stuff move back down, and like that pretty much always just signifies that it's going to sell off because you have like it's a trap, right? Like you have your overhead resistance, and we go through it, so everybody gets excited, and then when it comes right back down again, we're back below that resistance, and we've also just trapped a bunch of people, and it's just a really, really bearish signal. And here we basically have that little one in like October, November of 2021, and then way back in like April of 2021 is when we had the first big run up, like right where you got your cursor there now. And that whole top system there is a little bit lower than the more recent and more narrow double top that we just have. So you almost kind of have like this little double top that happened within a month, like at the end of last year. And then over all of last year, you just have like a scaled up version of that exact same thing. So we've almost had like a double top over the course of a year on varying time frames. So like to me, that's a pretty bearish signal. Like now how far down it goes is like, you'd probably be able to call that a lot better than me. But like in the shorter term, that's what I see as far as like a rejection. But like to me, the bottom would be like in the $28,000 to $32,000 range, like where we had that prior support. Like, I mean, we've tested that like 4 or 5 times on varying different levels on high volume. Like to me, that's the major support zone, is that like 28 to 32,000 range. So like I would assume it'll find some support there and it'll start to base, but I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that was 33. 33 is actually where my next buy zone is. It 35 hit the other day, so 33 to that area. I'll take these off. But yeah, that would be my buy zone. There's a guy named Mike Novogratz. He runs Galaxy Digital. I'm heavily trading them also. He's a former Wall Street guy. He ran a giant hedge fund called Fortress. Anyway, he's and he worked for like one of the big ones, Morgan or JP Morgan or Goldman. He said that there's lots of demand right at the 35K mark or below 35K. So that's where I'm hoping to see a bounce. But then I'm also totally expecting it to come down to like 20,000s or even below, like because this is crypto, man. I've seen it all. Like here,
Yeah.
like I'll tell you my crypto experience. Here we go. So this was 2020, $20,000, right? Does a drop to 5K, does it bounce to 13, or was that 13? No, 11. Wow. Because it comes back down to, was it 6, right? I buy around this
Yeah.
area thinking I'm a fucking genius, around the 8 grand area in April, thinking I'm a genius. And then within 6 months, it does another 50% down. So after this fucker does a 60% down, from my buy zone, it does another 60%. Just 6 months
Yeah.
later. So this is crypto, man. So I'm like, I expect anything.
That's the
But yeah,
thing, right? Is it's such a weird mix now of like of retail and long-term investors and hedge funds. Like it's just like a weird system, man. Like it's just there's just a lot of different hands operating this thing.
can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to screen this up a little bit. So this is Glassnode. So this is the on-chain data analytics that I do, that I pay for. Oh no.
Oh no, I just see. Yeah, we see your trading view chart.
Oh, okay. Shit. Okay, let me see how I do that. Sam, if I stop presenting, would it fuck shit up?
We'll find out.
All right, hang on. It wouldn't. It's not jacked of all trades if we don't do this.
Yeah. It's. I was gonna say you haven't had any technical difficulties yet, which is weird for you. So.
So is this good?
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. So I got on-chain analytics, and this is why I'm quite bullish. So one indicator I'm always looking at is hash rate. Bitcoin's hash rate is actually at all-time high. This is actually higher than before Elon's tweet that tanked the whole thing in the summer. So this is higher than the peak of summer of 2011, which means miners are more and more miners are going online. It's more competitive to fight for the 91 to fight for the Bitcoin every day, the 1,000 or so Bitcoin every day. But the main thing that I find really interesting is this: the hodler net position. So these guys, they do on-chain analytics, and they basically target wallets that are not very active, are old and aged. You can tell based on the Bitcoin's age, and they can tell if they're hodlers or whatever, right? This is up 10,000 Bitcoin from last week, which is up 40,000 from a month ago. So I don't know who's selling, but the OGs are buying, and that includes me. I've been buying this whole time. So
Yeah.
So that's very bullish to me. And the other thing that I like looking at is the ETFs. I think that you'll find this one interesting. Pull this one up. So this is the Purpose ETF. It's got like I don't know, maybe 1.1 billion assets under management right now. What was 1.4 at its highest? So the red is outflows of investment. Green is inflows. So you see a lot of people buying here, but we don't see a lot of selling here. In fact, I see some buying. People are buying the dip, and this is like accessible to ETFs, RSPs, anything on the TSX, right? And so that tells me Bay Street's bullish still on this asset, right? So the fundamentals are still looking pretty good.
I think everybody's still pretty bullish. I mean, like the markets overall right now are pretty shit. So it's just like, but I think it's just like we had a really strong 2020. We had a really strong 2021. So like it's not shocking to me at all that things are crashing right now. And it's I mean it's a good time to start. It's like we always say, like it's a good time to start buying when things are going down, provided that they're good companies.
I would argue we had a strong 2021 for those who knew what the fuck they were doing. Everybody else got
hosed. Oh yeah, you don't think? I think a lot of people had it pretty decent. Like there wasn't really much that. Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, there was like a lot of stuff that probably didn't do that hot.
There's a lot of volatility, and I think that chewed up a lot of people that weren't prepared for it, or
Yes, yeah. A lot of people are getting chewed up right now. Like in the trading world, like there's a lot of people that are having a really hard time right now just because the markets are so slow. Like people aren't used to it. They're trying to. That's the problem that happens is like when the markets slow down is like people try to use the same kind of size and people try to be as aggressive as they were when the markets were really hot, and you end up just not having those kind of range moves. You don't have the kind of liquidity that you used to, and like a lot of guys are having a really hard time right now when it comes to just trading.
Really, eh? I just wanted to show this real
Yeah.
quick. This is I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but so these are Bitcoin wallets or addresses. So not necessarily wallets because you can have more than one address, but it's divided by, you know, zero point 0.1 to 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 and 10,000 Bitcoins, right? And the little guys have been buying nonstop this whole time without fail. The zero point 0.1 wallets have been accumulating. And the one
Hmm.
guys sold June of last year. So that was the big sell off. And ever since the big sell off, they've been mostly accumulating. The 10 guys, big sell off, still, you know, more cautiously accumulating, but still accumulating. These dirt bags accumulated and dumped. The 1,000 guys basically flat. These guys are miners. The 10K guys, you can even see by the way it moves, it's in chunks. So that's miner
Yeah.
payouts and minor. So these are miners. And they're mostly flat. So what's interesting is like seems like the everything from zero point 0.1 to 10 Bitcoin owners are accumulating. It's these 100 guys that are selling 100 to put them in like the $6 million range, I think. So maybe high net worth individuals and maybe small hedge funds who are dipping their toes. What do you
Yeah.
have
I
thoughts?
wonder if even that has something to do with just balancing at the end of the year, like just for tax purposes and stuff like that.
True, they started trimming around
Right. Because
October.
like that,
That's Q4.
that was a big move, like right into the end of the year.
Yeah,
So
you're
it could
right.
have something like if you're talking about that kind of money, like that's the first thing that comes to mind for me is just like end of the year, just trying to balance your portfolios, move stuff around, try and save money on taxes. Because like the little guys now, I think Bitcoin's been around long enough that it's like it's mainstream enough that it doesn't feel like a novelty anymore. Like it feels like an investment to
Yeah,
pretty much everybody at this point. So that's why I think you're seeing those 0.1, 1, and 10 slowly accumulate is because like those are people where it's like in my mind, I'm seeing it like okay, it's like the S&P 500, like every couple months, we just put a little bit more money into it. It's just kind of a long term, like just keep chipping away, just buy a little bit more, buy a little bit more. Don't really care what the price is. Like it's like a 10-year outlook sort of thing.
you know what's interesting? It just occurred to me. I wonder if the crypto basically capping out is two part. One, well, we already know a lot of them are not playing spot; they're playing the futures, and they're playing
Hmm.
the options. So that sucks because every time Bitcoin drops, you see like $4 billion wiped out, like 100,000 traders lose. You know, it's just
I know,
stupid,
I
right?
know.
But I wonder if the NFT market's taking out some of that speculation. There's a lot of money going on
Yeah,
around there.
yeah. I think this whole area, man, like crypto and NFTs, like all that stuff. Like people are just trying to find the next really big thing, right? Like I think that's why that's why I don't think that Bitcoin's going to have any more crazy moves. I could be super wrong, but like I don't think it's going to have any more of those crazy crashes because I think it's kind of graduated past that point to where like now I said it's like just from that data that you're showing me, like to me that's people that are just slowly buying more with like every all their monthly savings are just accumulating it like they would like an index, right? Like that's what it looks like. So I think it's kind of like moved past the point of being like some speculative like, oh, you're going to make you're going to triple your money overnight kind of thing. Like I think that all those eyes have kind of moved on to the NFTs and like the meme
Yeah,
stocks and stuff like that we had. So, which is a good thing for the asset, right? Because that means you're not going to have those crazy moves, which is going to mean that more high net worth individuals are going to start accumulating slowly, and you're going to get hopefully that choppiness will slowly level out, and you'll just get that steady growth path that's going to attract even more buyers for the long term.
yeah, that's a really good point. It might actually give gold a run for its money now. If Bitcoin stabilized, it might give gold a run for its money as like the go to asset for turbulent times.
I can't see how it won't, man. Like especially now, like if you just look at the age of people, like our generations, younger generations, like like the thought to put your money into gold is really like it's an old school thing, man. Like not a lot of I don't know a lot of my younger friends that are like into gold. Like all the people I know that own gold and buy gold are like in their 60s, like which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like I mean, even if like it's like the same old thing. Like if you had bought gold or silver, like during the market crash, I mean, he still would have made a killing because it still operates like the inverse of the way the market does for the most part. But like, I mean, if you're gonna just buy gold and hold it for 20 years, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing at this point. Like it's, I just think of gold as like a metal, right? Like a rock. It's just not like to me, it's not an investment. It's not something where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put my money there, and this bar of gold is gonna be worth more in 20 years. Like, what? How do I know that? Like, especially with how everything's going with technology, and maybe that bar of gold is gonna be worthless because like, we buy all our jewelry in the metaverse now, and like people never leave their homes because they're just hooked up to computer screens. Like who knows, right? But that's the way that things are moving. So to me, it seems like it's not really what it once was for the safety of money.
No, I think you're 100% on point. I think Jack Dorsey said it best. He's like, the internet needs a native currency, and it's been waiting for something like
Mhm.
Bitcoin, right? It's certainly not gold. I mean, so at the very least, like there's a lot of assholes that it's always like, what's Bitcoin's intrinsic value, right? Well, I could say what's gold. You said it best. It's a fucking hunk of metal. What the fuck can you do with it, right? But let's just
Yeah.
say for a moment, compare one to one, right? Bitcoin literally is everything that gold is and better, right? If
Mhm.
let's just forget about paper gold. Let's just say you had physical gold and I had physical Bitcoin, and it's the end of the world, and we're trying to spend it. I can spend fractions on my Bitcoin anytime, anywhere. What are you gonna do with the gold? You're gonna bite off a piece, like buy some rice with it,
I
like
can smack you with it and take your Bitcoin. That's what I can do with
right, right.
it.
Like might as well get a
I'll beat
piece of
you over
lead.
the head with it. Take all your stuff.
Yeah, might as well just get a brick or a piece of lead. It's probably cost you less. So
Yeah, I
right,
know.
it's like, and if you were to transfer gold to like say you got family somewhere and you want to give them a little bit of cash, but you can't send gold. You can send Bitcoin
No.
instantly around the world, anywhere to anybody.
Yeah. And like, what's
So
it worth, right? Like Bitcoin is worth the same around the whole world. Like gold, like, yeah, I guess gold's worth the same around the whole world too. But like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's not something you can use. You can just spend, right? Like it's Bitcoin is the same. It's like you said, it's the same, but you can actually use it. Like if I give you like, yeah, I'm gonna send you, like 10 ounces of digital gold or something like that. Like, you can't do anything with it, right? Like it just, you have the piece of paper that says you have it, but like, what do you do with that, right?
well, see, that creates another problem. You tell me you sent me 10 ounces. Who's gonna weigh that fucker? Are you like
Yeah.
who's you know what I mean? Like just a whole bunch of
And like, what do you do with it? Like where do you, like, you got to take it somewhere to like turn it into money, and then they're going to take a percentage of that because nobody works for free. Like, it's just,
I'll tell you,
like,
it'd be really funny if we went around one day. Just go around, maybe anybody that's like 35 and younger, maybe even 38 and younger. Just ask them what are they most like. What if we ask them to buy gold and ask them to buy Bitcoin, which could they do? And I think
hmm,
more would say they could buy crypto or Bitcoin. They could figure that out easier than they could figure out how to buy gold. Because I
yeah.
know a gold dealer, and it's not easy. It's pretty complicated actually.
And like, that's the thing, is like, at the end of the day, it's literally just like, it's just a shiny rock. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, there's like, it doesn't do anything. Like, yeah, it has some uses and some technologies and things like that for like, computer chips and stuff like that. But I mean, it's like, it just, there's nothing there. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, I think it still has like a purpose right now, but I think that purpose is phasing out with the age group of people that are still like heavily gold invested. And even to that point, like, I do know a lot of people that are in their 60s that are big into gold. Like, I know people that like gold is like one of their main things, and those people have started buying Bitcoin just to show
Oh,
you like where their mindset is at. Like, yeah, like even my uncle and like a couple people in my family that are in like their 60s that are like huge into gold and silver and all that kind of stuff, always have been as like their safety net. Like, those are the people that I'm seeing in that age group that are starting to buy, not a lot. Like, I mean, maybe one or two Bitcoin kind of thing, but like, those are the people that are starting to buy into that, which is interesting because that to me tells me that, like, and you talk to them, like, I don't understand it at all, but like, it seems like a good place to put money, right? So like, it's, to them, it's kind of seeming like the same type of asset, only like the futuristic version of it, I guess you could say.
that's really interesting. Their age group, so they would have been in their 20s during the 70s recession where gold did a really massive run up. So that's probably why the
Yeah.
gold bought.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah, no, I thought that was kind of interesting too. It's just funny, like the people that I know that like the older investors that I know that never really have been big into gold, they've always been more into just equities and stocks. Those are the kind of people that that I find anyways, and like my circle of people I know are the ones that have a really hard time accepting Bitcoin and actually wanting to put money into it.
It's weird. Those are, I hate to generalize, but those are some of the same people that go on like CNBC and be like, yeah, what's Bitcoin's balance sheet? I can't read their balance sheet. You know, what's its intrinsic value? I'm like, well, maybe because it's not a fucking company, it doesn't have a fucking, balance sheet. Like, what are you talking about? Like, are you just basically saying you don't understand this thing?
Yeah, you just don't understand the technology, right? Like you don't understand what it works or how it gets its value. But by the same token, like how does gold? Like how does gold get its value? Like when the market crashes, how does gold like why does gold go up in value? Well, it's because people just naturally see it as a safety net, so they move their money into gold when the market crashes. It's the only reason it goes up. That's why it goes back down when the market starts going back up again. Is people are like, oh, okay, panic's over. We'll take our money out of the safety net and put it back into the stock market, and then it goes back down again.
100%.
Right? So like, there's no real rhyme or reason for it. It's just the masses moving it back and forth. So like, you can't tell me that you know that gold is like. Do you really understand the workings of gold? Like gold is literally just a function of mass of people buying it or selling it at specific times, which is the same as anything in the stock market, but it's not a company. It doesn't have any reason to move up or down other than the fact that people in masses put their money there during recessions.
Pretty much. I'm worried about the gold market though, because I think more than a few people have mentioned that the paper gold market is a lot bigger than the physical gold market, which means if people were to call in their ownership, there wouldn't be enough gold to, distribute.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Actually, no, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like, I mean, like you can just go online and buy more gold, like in your trading account, if you wanted to.
And see, that's exactly why digital scarcity requires a blockchain. And this is once again just proves why a Bitcoin needs to exist, right? Anything digital you can create a perfect copy of, and who's to say? Except on a blockchain, because you have a giant fucking ledger that goes back until the beginning of time that says this is how you can trace it. Every piece of Bitcoin ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So,
see how it all turns out, man. Yeah, we'll call it a day here.
Just before we go,
later, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Wait, sorry. I just want to say this real quick, because I want to get it on record. Because, yeah, if it happens, I want to look like a genius. So,
not arrogant at all, guys. By the way,
no. But I'm looking at the stats for December retail sales. Basically across the board, flat or shit. And we just saw Peloton like sink like 25%. Netflix sank like 24%. Subscriber sales just way down, right? So my question is this: if we have monetary inflation, if prices are up because of demand, where the fuck is the demand? Right? So my answer to that is, yes, we have inflation. Prices are up, but it's a supply chain issue. People are just price gouging from everybody from raw materials to manufacturers. I've got word from actual manufacturers telling me that creatine is like 7 or 10x or 21x the price it used to be. And
really?
Me and Sam just bought protein. We paid like 50% more than we usually do, right? So that's just price gouging from raw suppliers to manufacturers, distributors, the entire supply chain, and shipping is just having a ball, right? So my whole theory is, and then you add to the fact that I'm with Kathy Woods in that I think retailers over ordered out coming out of the pandemic, thinking that there's going to be massive demand, but because there was a supply chain issue, they never got their deliveries. Well, I think they're going to start getting their deliveries soon, and they're going to get more supply, less demand, and then you're going to get this issue of all the semiconductor chips, all the shortages, everything settled down. You're going to have a lot of stuff on the shelves with very few people trying to buy, because the jobs numbers are still shit. And so what does that mean? Deflation. And so I think the Fed's going to wait for that, look for that, and maybe say something like, we're still going to taper the QE. But in terms of raising interest rates, we might delay it, or we might just reduce the amount, and then you're going to see the market go zoom zoom, and I think that's going to start to happen in
Yeah.
Q2.
Well, see, just like really quick point, the reason that I do agree with you on that is because like what we're seeing right now, the market's already priced in the inflation because we've been talking about that for months now.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that for months before the market started selling off. So the market wasn't scared about inflation. So everybody like to me, what I'm seeing, everybody that's talking about inflation and panicking and saying, market's going to crash 50% and all this stuff, maybe it still does. Nobody really knows. But like at the end of the day, like the market wasn't scared of inflation. That's just what people are talking about now. And like you always have to remember that what people are talking about and what the actual stock market does are not necessarily the same thing. So we didn't see the market panic about the inflation rates. We didn't see any of that in the stock market. So to me, whatever is happening right now, maybe it's related to the stuff going on in Russia and the Ukraine, I think is probably having a big thing to do with it because that's uncertainty. Markets don't like uncertainty. So that could have something to do with it. We don't know what's happening with COVID still, as always. There's that uncertainty. There's a lot of different countries getting riled up about it and trying to not want to do all their mandates and basically standing up against the government. Like there's a lot of uncertainty going on right now in the economy. And to me, that's the reason why we're seeing this sell off because the inflation, in my mind, has not impacted the stock market from what we saw last year and from what we saw when they were talking about it. So I think what you're saying is bang on, is that what's going to happen is once all these little uncertainty items kind of, go by the wayside, then we're going to have a huge uptrend because we're going to see the deflation like you're talking about. And we already know that the inflation, quote unquote, that they've been talking about, that didn't scare the market to begin with. People are just talking about it, but what we were seeing on paper didn't correlate to that. So I think we're having a really good like healthy sell off right now, and then we're going to see like a really nice uptrend, which is why as we always say, anytime you get a correction or a bear market, you want to start buying. Buy as much as you can because everything's going on sale.
Yeah, I picked up some Nvidia this week. Some Nvidia,
Same.
not actually yet, but I'm waiting for. I don't know if Tesla's going to go down low enough, but I got some lowball offers for Tesla, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah. All right.
Make our money, man.
That's it.
All right. See you later, guys.
Later.